Just look at this beautiful long stem my new dawn rose created. She is the prized possession. Hello my dear gardeners, I'm in the middle of training this rose, and if you want to hang out with me at the end of this video to see how I do it, you're welcome to do so. But right now we are going to address the issue of improving the condition of the soil, generally improving the soil in the pot, which already has all the soil. We don't want to touch it. So how do we improve that soil without getting everything out of the pot and putting everything in again? Let's begin. Usually the standard approach, about which we can read in books, would be to constantly put a fresh layer of organic matter on top of the soil. That's how we will improve eventually the condition of all the soil in the pot, because after watering, water goes through that organic matter, slowly takes it down into the soil. But I always use this little trick of mine, which I never read anywhere about this trick on the internet. I just do it because I learned it from old age, growing up in the farm with my parents. So what you do is you have yourself a container. This is a small one, but I couldn't find anything bigger. And what you do, you go to in case you are composting, I have a compost drum at the end of my property, and those can be quite expensive. My neighbor gave it to us. It costed originally like $600, but at the bottom of it, it has a special section where all the juices from the compost are dripping in, and I love to use that. But if you don't have it, not a biggie. What you can do, you can buy compost from the garden center, and what you do, you mix it with water in some sort of a container, but really swoosh it and mix it well. And then you can wait a day for all the ingredients to really leach out into the water. Some gardeners go out a lot and invest a lot of time into it, and they create compost tea. You're welcome to research it. I really don't do it a lot, but if I need that quick mix, I mix it with water. I make it sit for some time, not too long, because it will get smelly, and then I water my plants with it. So instead of sitting on the top layer of the soil and waiting quite a long time for the water to take it down, this top layer of organic matter, if you do it the recommended way, this water takes all the nutrients right into the soil. So if you have only potting mix in the pot, and that potting mix is getting old, there are only nutrients so far as several months, 4 to 6 months, and then it's totally sterile, totally not livable. And in case the new gardeners pot their plants in the potting soil, and that soil doesn't have anything to support the rose or any plant in the pot, I would recommend not only using fertilizers, but using this method, shaking it up. The best would be, of course, compost tea. But if you don't have it, and you're welcome to look, there are plenty of recipes how to make the compost tea. But if you don't have it, you shake it up, and I would say this amount of compost and the rest of water, so probably 1/4 of compost and 3/4 of water. You shake it really well. You make it sit for several hours. Let that water become nice and brown. It's kind of compost tea, and then you water your plant, and all those microbes are going to go right away deep into the soil. That's true, that organic matter is not available right away to your plant. Some time has to pass, probably, I believe, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, before all that beautiful stuff is going to be available to the rose. Here we go. So by constantly introducing organic matter into your pot, be it just the top layer or constantly watering your plant with mixed dirty water, you introduced all those happy bacteria, microelements deep into the soil, and it improves the quality of soil. And what do we mean by quality of the soil? Improved drainage. So water drains well, there are no waterlogged conditions, especially for our roses. It is very important. The water holding capacity of the soil increases, so we don't need to water our roses so often, or roses are comfortable, there are no drought conditions in the pot. And all those micronutrients are present there. So slowly they are kind of colonizing the potting medium or whatever you have in your pot and introduce back that life. And then roses will be thriving in your pots. One more thing I want to tell you. I'm not going to do this to my rose in the fall because rose has to understand that it's time to go to sleep, not to wake up and start growing. So I wouldn't recommend doing this treatment to roses. You can do it to annuals if you want them to be beautiful all the way to the first frost. But roses at this time, we don't fertilize them, especially here in New England, where our roses have to go to bed. And this rose has teeny tiny chlorotic leaves at the bottom, which is, you know what, understandable. This rose was growing up in a very small, tiny pot. I'm surprised that it's so happy. It's going to improve. So I potted this rose last video, please watch it. And in this video, hopefully we know now how to do this improvement of soil. If we only introduce artificial fertilizers, those fertilizers will feed the plant but would not improve the quality of the soil. I want you to remember it. If we feed with natural fertilizers, they do that job of improving the quality of soil and feeding our plants. Very important little thing which a lot of people who rely on fertilizers only do not consider. We need to invest into the quality of soil. I garden organically, you know it already. And I was absent from my garden through the crucial time of spring and summer. And I think only because I garden organically, so I let my soil to do the job. I let my garden to rely on its own, to have healthy plants. And my garden was able to pull through this difficult year without me being here. I was really worried coming back to my garden thinking, oh my gosh, I will come back to dead plants. Of course, we had a good rainy season, but still, without me, thanks to healthy soil, the health of soil, not only in pots, but generally in the garden, I constantly improve the soil, I invest into composting. Garden lives on its own, and there is no need for gardener to constantly intervene and put new dose of fertilizer. Okay, my dear gardeners, hopefully it helps, and you would be able to slowly, with time, but patience, improve the quality of soil in your containers. And now let's go look at my rose, what's happening there. I remember when I was a beginner gardener many years ago, I was looking at these long stems and I was thinking, this is such a small, teeny tiny presence. If I put it up there, what small thing it is? How is it going to be looking great? But keep in mind that next year, this is first year stem, next year when I put it into horizontal position, which is going to happen right now, all these top leaves will create a shoot, and suddenly we don't have this little thin stem, but we have this big presence of growth and then flowers on every shoot. So hopefully next year, if squirrels are not going to kill the stem or whatever, this would be, I will have blooms on top of this arch. Very exciting, because I'm waiting for this to happen for 2 years already, right? So let me tie it up. And I don't want all these lateral stems to sway in the wind of winter, so I'm just going temporarily tie it here. And then in spring I'm going to look at this major main stem and decide what we're going to do with that. So major trimming will be happening in spring here. I know it doesn't look like anything big right now, but the potentialities are great. And look at this little thing I want to show you. You see this joint? This is where that big stem started to grow, which I tied at the top. And anything going down is not going to blossom. So probably eventually I will just heavily trim it off here in spring, or leave treat these guys as laterals. So cut this something like this here and there, clean it up, and let these shoots create roses. But otherwise, anything growing down is not going to bloom well. And I kind of don't want them to go down. Everything has to go up, climb this arch and bloom well. And look at this beautiful, mighty weed right in the middle of my rose arch. We used to have bird feeder here. We got rid of it. We put it all the way down there because this was constant traffic site, and everything what I would plant here would be just trampled on. So all the seeds are just sprouting here. So we have young corn growing, and who knows what else is growing here. All right, my dear gardeners, here, young corn. We will see you in our next video. Happy gardening!